Hello to all the financially frustrated, term length terrified, and contract crapped out. We've talked about being honest and the specifics of haggling, but now we're moving on to the part that is the most terrifying for most customers, the finance office. We're going to talk a bit about financing, what to expect, and the pros and cons of buying add-ons for your vehicle. Financing can be a scary prospect for people because, let's face it, it means that you're going into debt on purpose. So that brings up the question that really spurs on this topic. Why would I finance if I don't have to? I mean, why wouldn't I just buy something I can afford outright? Good point. In fact, I pretty well agree with the sentiment. If you can afford your vehicle for cash and you don't have to finance, why would you? By all means, do that. But a lot of people, well, let's be honest, most people don't have that luxury. Most people can't afford to drop $20,000, $30,000, or $40,000 on a vehicle. Heck, if we're being real honest, most people can't afford to drop $15,000, $10,000, or even $5,000 on a vehicle. But love it or hate it, in the United States, we are a mobile nation, and we need access to vehicles, and financing allows us to have it. I really like this car. Great. It costs $20,000. It would take me years to save up that kind of money. How about $400 a month? Yeah, I can swing that. Super. The car's all yours. Sweet. Financing allows you to budget, plan, maybe even afford a better car than you'd be able to get for cash, if getting one for cash was even an option for you. Most importantly, though, it can help improve your credit. And having good credit can be the major difference for people when it comes to car shopping. I'd like very much to procure a new car. Great. Do you happen to know your credit score? Last time I checked, right around 800. Super. Pick out any car you want. But sometimes it isn't like that. I'd like to get a car. Great. Do you happen to know your credit score? What's a credit score? We could go on for a long time about credit, so maybe that's a subject for another video. However, financing your vehicle and keeping up with your payments is a great way to improve your credit score and increase your chances of getting approvals in the future. Well, maybe you're concerned about what kind of payment you're going to have. There's an easy rule of thumb to follow. Now, depending on a few factors like your own personal credit, the interest rate you end up getting, it's a pretty safe assumption to say that for every $1,000 that you borrow from a lender, it'll affect your payment about $20 a month. Let me show you. So if we've determined that about every $1,000 you borrow equates to about $20 a month, then if you should borrow $10,000 from a lender, you should expect about a $200 a month payment. $20,000, $400 a month, and so on and so forth. So what does this mean for the consumer? Well, let's say you've calculated you have a monthly budget of $320 a month, maximum. That means that for you, you should not be looking at any vehicle that is going to exceed $16,000 out the door. Now, like I said in the last video, you can manipulate this number in a couple of different ways. One of those ways is by putting money down. This is money that you pay up front for the vehicle. So like our previous example, maybe you really want a car that's going to cost $16,000 when it's all said and done, but you really can't afford that $320 a month. But maybe you can swing $300 a month. With our rule of thumb, by putting $1,000 down and lowering your out-the-door price, you could now swing down to $300 a month. Oftentimes, lenders see money down as a sign of commitment from the borrower. Sometimes they even demand it. The other major option is extending the length of your term. This means taking the amount that you owe and stretching it out over time so you pay less at a time. This can be a great way to keep your monthly payment low, but it will mean that you're probably going to be paying more in the long run. The last part of this discussion has to do with the idea of add-ons. These can come in the form of warranties, service contracts, or even alterations being made to your vehicle. Now, there are pros and cons that go along with these warranties and service contracts. A lot of times they can be pretty expensive, but more often than not, they're considerably cheaper than what can happen in the event of a breakdown. And as far as getting alterations made to your vehicle, those are decisions you're going to just have to make for yourself, but sometimes they can even save you money. I really like this car. Great. It costs this much. Sounds fair, but I really wish it had a remote starter. Well, the next trim level up has a remote starter. Cool. How much does it cost? $3,000 more. Well, I can't do that. My wife would kill me. Well, we could install the remote starter on this cheaper option for only a few bucks a month. Sweet. Tips for salesmen. If your customer has a monthly goal that they have to hit, make sure you figure out their credit situation. That way you can show them vehicles they can actually afford rather than overselling them. Oftentimes, they know their situation better than you do. Tips for shoppers. Use financing to your advantage. By budgeting out your monthly expenses, you can get yourself a great car that'll last you a long time. Also, shoppers, if your credit isn't that great, be open-minded to what the salesman is telling you. A lot of times they deal with strange credit situations, usually on a daily basis. They can often help you even if the situation looks pretty dire. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and if you have any pressing questions about financing, negotiations, or car buying in general, don't hesitate to drop them down in the box below. I'll try to get to as many of them as I can. You just might inspire my next video. I am Barry the Auto Mediator, and happy buying.